Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Lullaby Stories. Today's guest is going to be Pinja. Now, these guys I've known for a few years now, quite some time. I'm actually super happy to call them my friends, super grateful,
Yay.
super excited to talk with you guys today. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Let's go ahead and introduce you guys to the audience. Tell us.
You go.
Okay. Hi, I'm Leah, otherwise known as Miss Mirror, which is half of Pinja.
Yep. And my name is Dominic.
My other half.
The other half, we're technically married. And
Just technically.
just technically. And my stage name is CRT, and I'm the other half of Pinja, obviously.
Awesome, awesome. Very cool, very cool. So the first thing I want to ask you guys is, because I don't think I ever actually asked you guys this, how did you guys come up with your names individually? And then after that, how did you guys come up with Pinja?
Okay. Yeah. I'll go first. So the main thing is CRT stands for cathode ray tube, and that's what old televisions were. So
You know those really big, thick ones.
yeah, the big ones that are like super heavy,
In
and
the front.
and so essentially, I got pulled into this like cosplay culture where people were like, cosplaying as like these unique characters. And I saw what they call TV head, which is essentially people who would take these shells of televisions and they would hollow them out and then put them on their heads and, have a screen in front of them that had like, a unique face or something on it. And I was so enthralled with it. I decided, hey, I'm going to make one for myself. And I made it. And then I was like, yeah, maybe, do you think I could DJ with this thing on? And
I was like, yes.
yes. And pretty much after that, I was literally like, oh, well, duh, my name is CRT now. It's like the most obvious thing in the world.
Yeah. And then for Miss Mirror, I was DJ Star originally back in college. I was at a radio station, and that's what everyone called me. But then afterwards, I was kind of growing up, and I decided that I wanted a different name, one that not everyone had in the world. It took me a while to figure it out, but Miss Mirror comes from essentially my photography. Mirrors are how cameras work, like the SLR cameras. It's like a series of mirrors to capture the image. So I thought it was perfect. And then I used it for my photography business for a while and for DJing.
Yeah. And then
Pinja.
I don't know if we've ever told this particular story to anyone. But
it's not recorded.
Oh,
yeah, at least not recorded.
What,
Yeah,
what?
exclusive stuff right here. So
You can cuss,
Once
it's
upon
okay.
a time
yeah, once upon a time
in
we were
2012.
we were living in Buffalo, and we were inside of this like tiny apartment
Yeah.
in downtown Buffalo, and we were just starting to play together.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening was we were like, okay, well, if we're going to make this a thing, we should probably just have a name.
A name for both of us
Yeah.
together.
So we were like, what the hell are we going to call ourselves? Because like we came up with all of these really bad names.
Oh my gosh, we were using a name generator.
Oh yeah, you ever use one of those like online? We were just
like,
trying to come up with ideas.
It was like electric octopus.
Yeah, it's just like
it was wild.
Yeah, and so like while we were watching it, or while we were trying to come up with names, we had The Lion King playing in the background.
Back in the day, it was ABC Family, and they were just like having a random Disney marathon. I don't even remember what was on first.
Yeah,
but we were looking at names through the whole first movie, and then partially into the second movie, which was The Lion King.
Yeah, and there's a certain part of The Lion King where Nala pins down Simba, while they're wrestling, and they do it twice, and
she goes, Pinja again,
and we were literally, and then
we looked at each other.
Yeah, Leah's eyes lit up, and she's like,
I'm like, this is it.
And so like, yeah, so yeah, it actually comes from The Lion King.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've heard so many different people be like, "Oh, it's pirate slash ninja. You were into that like weird culture, like,
No.
we're pirate. No, it came from the Lion King.
Oh my gosh.
We're way
Someone recognized it from The Lion King like
No
really.
last
way.
year when we were playing at a festival and she screamed at us. She goes like, "The Lion King!" And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was hilarious.
Speaking of the
Yeah.
Lion
First time
King,
it
what
ever
did you
happened
guys?
in like 12 years.
Oh wow. What did you guys think about the live action then? Coming from like the prime time of Disney where all the animated movies were just bangers on bangers. What do you think about that?
Awful.
Oh God, I love the animated movies.
The original animated movies were so
Good.
yeah, I mean, well,
They were
they hold up,
special.
you
Yeah.
know, like the animation and the style made it so that it became timeless. You know, the second the 3D animated quote unquote live action one came out, it literally was like it started looking aged in like 2 seconds,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
And
The
it
only
was
thing is, it's like if you're gonna do a live action movie, do it based around people and
yeah,
like things that would
Yeah.
actually happen in like real life.
yeah,
The Lion King
Right.
is a ton of animals. There's not a single human in the entire thing.
yeah. And then
Like,
on top
why?
of that, like, you know, the animated movie, you have like so much expression coming out of the
Mhm.
animation and like the
Yeah.
faces and like their movements and the way that
Mhm.
everything's set up. And then you kind of like listen to like the behind the scenes stuff that they were talking about with trying to make this, you know, 3D animated one. And they were like, well, you know, we wanted this to look like a documentary and like a, you know, make it look like so real that you can't tell. And it's like, well, when you do that, you kind of just get rid of all of like the exaggerated motion
Mhm.
and
Right.
animation.
The stuff that made the movie special.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like it looks like a bunch of deadpan animals just like yelling at each other for no reason, you know. But
So
yeah,
touching back on the cartoons, right? And like in
yeah,
relation to like cosplay and everything, right? You said that you kind
hmm
of got your ideas through the cosplay community, right? So tell me
hmm
Mhm.
who you cosplayed as. Do you guys create your own cosplay? And then how has it been tying it back to music? Because you don't see too many people that get that creative, right? Because I've actually seen you guys play with the CRT, and I remember you not having that at one point, but now seeing it in person and everything, like to just tell me a little bit about that cosplay background and yeah.
yeah,
Well, Dom's an engineer by trade.
yeah.
So he very much was hands-on on the project.
Yes. You know,
Picking
I
up TVs from like garbage piles.
yeah, yeah. I kind of have like a what is it? I have an inside guy an electronics recycling place, and so like anytime he comes across like an old television, he's like, "Hey man,
Do you want this?
do you want me to bring this to you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And we're like slipping like dollar bills under the table, you know.
You didn't
But
hear
no,
that.
no one heard that. I mean, it's
I
not a big
mean,
business for him. It's like $2.
I mean, also it's basically garbage. No
Yeah,
one's
it's
ever going to
garbage.
use it
Yeah.
again. We might as well
Right.
repurpose it.
Yeah. We're just upcycling it.
Reduce, reuse,
And then in
recycle,
terms,
right?
yeah.
Exactly.
And you know, in terms of like the cosplay thing, you know, I've always been like a huge like anime nerd,
Yeah.
cartoon nerd.
Yeah.
And so like dressing up as different characters, going to the conventions has always been sort of like something fun that
We honestly both loved
yeah.
individually.
Yeah. We're
Well,
kind of
before we
like
met.
yeah. I mean, and you know, to tie that all the way around to like some of the stuff that we're doing now, you know, the whole like VTubing streaming thing that we've been doing lately has like really tied into that, you know, like this sort of like becoming a different character and acting as a different character, you know, while also kind of like doing creation of like music and art and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, I find that at least from like I get a lot of inspiration from the cosplaying community. They're very artistic and very friendly and
Mhm.
nice and like so open. You know, it's like you go to these conventions and you meet like a person like at a booth that like makes the most incredible art in the world, and then you're like, hey, you know, it's like, and they're selling it for like $5, and you're like,
I want to give you more money.
please let me give you more money, please, for the love
You
of God.
deserve more money for what you
Yeah.
create.
For sure, for sure. No, absolutely. That's
We've
really
cosplayed as
cool.
a lot of stuff too.
Oh
Yeah, I was just
yeah.
about to ask. Like, I know that I've seen your Lust costume from
Yep.
Full Metal
Yeah.
Alchemist. But I don't think I've heard about the other ones that you guys have cosplayed before.
So Halloween, oh gosh, it must have been, it was pretty close to when we started Pinja. We were Finn and Fiona
Yep.
Okay.
from
Yep.
Adventure Time.
Which
Yes.
is
And that
classic.
was super fun, classic. We've done
Yep.
that a couple of times.
And then you did Ursula one year.
Oh yeah, I made an Ursula costume from
Nice.
scratch.
Yeah, with like tentacles and everything.
Yep, I made like this really cool skirt, and I made like these bendable tentacles, and
Oh,
I
no
like,
way.
yeah, I used
Yeah, it was a
I
nightmare.
used fake flowers on the bottom of the tentacles to make them look like suction cups.
Yep.
And I
Ah,
just
that's
put them
genius.
all over. Yeah, it was very cool, and it was like an additional tied skirt over like a purple tutu that I made, and then I wore
Yeah.
like a cute corset, and I had like those like mesh shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a purple one, and it was long sleeved to make me
Ah,
purple,
Yeah.
yeah.
and of course the red
Genius.
lipstick.
Yeah, and
Of
I've
course, of
done
course.
I've at least tried to do Aaron Yeager for a couple of times. So
Oh
um
man.
yeah.
I love
With
Aaron
like
Yeager.
the
So go
yeah,
ahead.
with like the machine like the what's it called? The
The 3D
mobility units that they
maneuvering gear.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like I tried like crafting one out of like foam and stuff,
Yeah.
and that one was like a real crazy project.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. I'm actually a huge Attack on Titan fan, and I'm actually going to be seeing the voice actor of Aaron again the next con
Yeah.
here. I'm super
Very
excited
Yeah,
for
cool.
it's
that.
gonna be exciting.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, but that's really cool. Like so we talked about cosplay, and then you said something about the VTuber stuff. Tell me how you got into
Yep.
that, what made you pursue that, and then would you say
Oh, God.
with all these different facets that you guys go down through, would you guys consider Pinja like a multimedia art project instead of just like a DJ producer
Maybe a
thing?
little.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, the more that we look at sort of Pinja as like a brand, not a, I don't want to say, I'm
I
going to
do
go
not
into
want to
like
call it a
tech bro.
brand.
Pinja's a brand and we're going to like turn it into a multi-billion-dollar. No, it's like
the next
Pinja to
Disney.
us. Yeah. The next Disney, we'll remake the Lion King the right way. No, for us, like Pinja is just kind of like the creative expression of the both of us. That's kind of like what we like to kind of use it as. So like whether it be, artistic photo shoots or, virtual streaming stuff that we do, or like music creation, DJing, and then like even some of the like the event production stuff that we're doing, we love to kind of tie a lot of that together, to kind of create like a fuller experience because I'm sure and some of the listeners know, just being a DJ is not you can't just be a DJ anymore. That era is gone. Unless you're Carl Cox and you're a god, you just can't do that anymore. And so, it started off with, okay, now you're a DJ. Okay, now you have to be a Facebook expert. Okay, now you have to be a Twitter expert. Now you have to be a TikTok, short star. Now you have to be, professional social media manager.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you also have to make your own music. You have to run your own label. You have to do this. You have it just goes on and on and on. And the thing is, at least from us, we view each one of those as an opportunity for us to be creative in different spaces.
Yeah.
And for in terms of the VTubing stuff, how I got into that is last year. I lost my job last year quite suddenly, which really sucked.
Like goes into work at 8 a.m., gets pulled into a random meeting at 9:15.
Yep.
Oh,
And
wow.
my boss and an HR person was there, and they were like, okay, we're letting you go. My boss was like, okay, we're letting you go. And I hope you succeed in your next endeavor. Bye. And then she leaves, she bounces and leaves with the HR person. But that was a pretty bad time. But the thing was, is that it opened me up to like doing a lot more creative work. And so I kind of,
Created the
yeah,
CRT
yeah,
you had.
yeah. So I created like a fully articulated, face tracking sort of VTuber model that is like a television screen attached to a robotic arm, and
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I always get compliments on it. And the one thing I tell people is like, because people are like, oh, how did you even make that? I'm like, well, I've been an engineer, mechanical engineer, and I've been drafting for forever. Which is just like 3D modeling, but very technical.
I mean, he's literally been doing it since high school.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
so like for me, it was just like, oh, well, I could just make a very mechanical version of what a lot of VTuber models exist. And so yeah. And the thing is that I've tied this VTuber thing into Pinja by, doing live music production streams where I am the CRT character. I cosplay basically digitally as the CRT character. And I teach people how to make music, and I explain how we're making stuff and show my process and everything. And it's been honestly like really, how do I want to say this? It's been very enlightening, right? Because I'm sure, as you know, and some of the listeners know, producing music is not easy. But one of the things that's kind of crazy about like the modern tools that we have to produce music nowadays is that there's so many options to like even make anything. Too many options. You get locked, right? And so by doing like a live stream where I am trying to explain to people like what I'm doing, how it works, what decisions I'm making, it helps to kind of like solidify the way that my music is being made. And I've been able to finish tracks in like, couple hours. And that's just because there's almost like a time constraint on you. It's like, okay, I'm trying to be entertaining, and I can't just like sit around and like listen to snare hits for like 3 hours, try to pick one, it's like people are watching. So I was like, okay, this one's good enough. And then you go, and sometimes when you're making music like that, you just kind of like, you have to like just trust that you're going to be able to get there. And the streaming has been really helpful for that.
The other thing the streaming did is it gave him some purpose when he didn't have a job.
Yes. Oh.
Because Dom struggles with depression like many of us do. And losing your job is just, it's awful.
No, it's definitely not depressing.
It's not depressing at all. It's just, it was awful. And it was a way while you were applying for jobs to really, one, express yourself in a creative way, but two, feel like you were actually accomplishing something.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause like, you can only look for jobs
for so
long, you just,
for sure.
It was hilarious being like, I get up in the morning and I'd be like, okay, it's time to look for jobs. And I like type in and I'd search all the different boards and stuff. And I'd be like, wait a second, didn't I apply to this one like a couple of days ago? And and then it'd say that they reposted it. And I'm like, you motherfuckers, you didn't pick me. And then like, obviously we went through a lot of financial struggle during that time. And, but the thing is, we're not here to like, be like, we're finally falling apart. But, it
was a difficult time.
It was. But like,
I think the goal of creating that character for streaming and then like actually starting streaming on a regular basis really helped you through it.
Yeah. And, I'm actually doing pretty successful with it right now.
Like pretty good, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, so yesterday, to give you an example, I managed to raise almost $150 for the Trevor Project, which is an LGBTQ charity. And
it was more than 150.
Was it?
Yeah, you said it was like 175.
Yeah. So, the thing is that I view it as an opportunity to give back, because it helped me through such a rough time that, I view it as kind of like, it helps people listen to our music, helps us, be creative throughout our entire existence, and inspire other people too. That's kind of a big part of our Pinja brand as well. It's just, being like the old farts in the room that you can go to and be like, how do I do this? I'm like, okay, this is what you can do.
No, for sure, for sure. Like I love that. Like I think a lot of times people don't understand that like sometimes out of like what we think could be like, the worst day kind of thing, or like, you know what I mean? That moment where like just shit hits the fan, right? Like a lot of times, and I at least notice in my life too, like those times are like almost like the times whenever like you just become even better. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
that
yeah.
sometimes you have to hit that low to get the momentum to just skyrocket upwards kind of thing, right?
Oh yeah.
So I'm really like I love seeing your TikToks whenever you get the little I just see the little head just go out of nowhere and you're just like, hey buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
um
it's like it's fun, honestly. It's like cosplaying but in the digital world, and I'll be honest.
He gets to cosplay as his true self.
Yeah, I get to cosplay as a weirdo nerd.
aren't
But
we
yeah, no,
all?
the other, I mean, yeah, to be fair, but the thing that's kind of weird about VTubing is like it's like a mask that you get to put on, because like not a lot of people know, like who watch me do streaming don't even know what my face looks like, and they just know my voice, they know like my personality and the kind of the way I carry myself and the character that I built, and it kind of creates this like disconnect that allows me to like just drop the facade of like, oh my god, does my hair look okay? What are people going to judge me for having like facial hair, being blonde? It's like I don't have to worry about any of that because any of those sort of considerations get dumped on the character that I created, not me. So I could just be myself.
I love that. I love that. So we were talking cons and we were talking festivals, right? What
Mhm.
festivals have you guys played, and have you guys ever played at like cons?
We would love to play at cons. I think that would be so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we've played, God, we used to play a ton of festivals out in Buffalo.
We played the Infringement Festival
Yes.
like 5 years in a row.
Yep.
Multiple different venues in Buffalo would host us. We've been in theaters, we've been in coffee shops, we've been in bars.
Yep. Yeah. Buffalo is like a very big like music art town.
Yeah.
And so like, every weekend there was at least something going on in like a dozen bars around the city, and like weird spaces, like we had this place called Nietzsche's, which had like, I think they bolt a toilet to the ceiling for some reason, or
I can't remember.
but they had, yeah,
they had crazy stuff everywhere.
Yeah, it's just like, every single artist that would come and play at Nietzsche's had to sign the ceiling.
Yeah.
And like the ceiling was literally covered in signatures. And
we were the first electronic act to play at Nietzsche.
Yeah, that was pretty cool as being
wow.
the first electronic act. Yeah, because they were kind of like a very kind of traditionalist,
like bands.
Bands bar, and so we were like, hey, we could do some live performance type stuff. And they were like, okay, cool, let's do it. And we kind of opened them up to doing more like electronic stuff, which was fun.
And since then, they've had a ton of electronic artists.
Yep.
Not traditional DJs, but like people creating electronic music on stage.
Yeah, like like beatboxers who come in and like make live beats, and guys who do like the finger drumming stuff.
There's an amazing lady who plays like 10 instruments, and she will record it and then like play it over and then create songs with these instruments in hand.
Yeah. So but
awesome. It's very awesome.
But since we moved down here to Charlotte, we've been playing a lot in some of like the traditional electronic places.
Yeah.
We were big in the GFW crew, when we first moved down here, and ever since COVID. Yeah, GFW for life.
That's how we met you.
That's how we met you. And
but we've done lots of festivals. We've done Base Mountain a couple times.
Yep.
We've done, what was it? Neon Weekend.
Yeah, it's like a Yeah, Neon Weekend,
We've
and
done that
then
a couple times.
Bonnaroo, not Bonnaroo, but what was
There
it?
was Donaroo.
Donaroo, which was like a shoot off
Bonnaroo.
Bonnaroo thing. Donaroo,
Okay.
not
Yeah,
Bonnaroo.
with a D and not a
Yeah.
B. But that was an awesome weekend.
Yeah, that was fun.
Um, we've done the silent disco at Breakaway.
Yep.
Like I don't even know how many times, more than a handful.
Yeah.
We played the
And
first year, and then we played, I think, the last 4 or 5,
yeah.
and then we're playing another world this year in about a month.
Yeah. I'm excited for
Um,
that.
Coming up so quick.
I know
yeah,
it's just gonna come
and
in.
then we've done a bunch of like small festivals all over the place.
You guys did
Some down
Imagine,
in
right?
Georgia.
We have not done Imagine yet.
No,
I keep applying
Yeah.
every year. And
I
then
swear that you guys
keep
did.
no, we haven't
Oh.
yet. That's one of our big targets for either this year or next year, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But it does, to kind of piggyback on that question, it is very interesting how that kind of ties into what we're trying to do with like the multimedia aspect of Pinja, because like I said before, you could be an incredible DJ, you can be the best at it, but if you don't have a social media presence, if you don't have well working sort of like outreach program that like gets people to be excited about what you're doing,
Yeah.
they're they don't necessarily look at how well that you're doing your job. It's mostly about kind of like the hype around you, and so like generating that hype requires this big multimedia operation, which is kind of obviously it's stressful, but we're trying to get better at it.
It's fun though.
Yeah, it is fun. Creating is always a fun experience. And you kind of
Absolutely.
and after like doing this for like fucking forever, you kind of just like you have to learn to let it roll off your back. It's like you apply, you kind of get in there, and you're like maybe it'll happen. And back in the day, back when I was fresh and being like a young kid, I was like, oh, I can't believe they didn't pick me. I'm better than all the other people on here. It's like, at this point, I'm like, I'll throw my hat in the ring, and I'm like, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, no skin off my teeth,
I hear you.
Yeah, and it's like we also just have fun with it.
Yeah.
We're always doing the next thing. We've done like a million remix competitions for fun stuff.
Yeah.
What was that one? We did a competition to like be a part of a festival, like a big festival, and we were in the finalists.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which one was that? I can't remember. It was a few years ago now. But we wrote an original track, and we were a finalist for the festival, and I think we were in the top 5.
Yeah.
In the country. So
yeah, and the thing is that, and again, this is rolling back to kind of the main operandi of the conversation, which is like, we were like, oh yeah, top 5, curators picked our track because they loved it. And then the final step was who can get the most number of votes. And you're like, oh, you just like die.
That's where we struggle.
Yeah, it's always been a struggle for us. And that's because like, we're not, I don't know, we're not like hype people. We like just creating stuff, putting it out there.
We're definitely more introverted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and navigating this industry as an introvert can be quite the interesting thing. But like I think, like you guys were saying, now you guys have gotten these different avenues, right? Now you guys are getting into the VTuber space and all that stuff. And truthfully, I think that like that's perfect. You know what I mean? You guys have found a way to kind of circumvent all the stuff that you guys were kind of concerned about in such a healthy and awesome way, which is like freaking awesome, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We could have just bought bots. That would have been nice. No.
We've seen it before, and we'll see it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
But to your point, like we view each creative avenue as a chance for someone to discover us. So it's like, people will come to my the VTuber streams, and I'll literally be like, oh yeah, no, I write music too. And they're like, really? you should send me a link. I love what you do here, you know, and it's like, okay, here you go, you know. And
There's people all over the world, and it's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's very cool. I ever since I started doing it, it's like I have friends in Belgium and the Netherlands, and like I have a Spanish person who comes to my streams all the time, and it's just like it's very worldly, you know. And it's like compared to, you know, trying to make fans in you know, Charlotte. You know, it's like, oh yeah, no, I got fans all the way over on the other side of the world.
Exactly. And I think that kind of like ties back to like you never like put your eggs in one basket, right? Like there's everywhere that you like people are just waiting to hear something, right? So we got 10 minutes left. I got another question for you guys before we listen to this track that you guys sent me here, right? So my next question would be you guys play very interesting on stage, right? You guys have the CRT, right? And then Miss Mira over here has some kind of little contraptions too. Do you guys play like a live set? Is it a DJ set? Like, how do you have all of those different things like talking to each other? Like, talk to us about that.
So, as we've been described by a couple of outlets, we are one DJ with four hands most of the time.
Yep.
If I can set up all my stuff.
Yes.
What people don't know is that my setup can actually control up to 4 CDJs if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I don't do it to mess them up.
Yeah. Yeah. There are times where I'm like, you know, on the decks, you know, trying to transition between tracks, and all of a sudden, you know, she's like, nope, we're gonna do some crazy shit. And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna back off. You know, but we've been doing, how long have we been in Pinja together?
It's 12 years as of like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so it's so like
happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
Pinjaversary.
Pinjaversary. But we you know, it's almost like we kind of like know how each other is working at this stage, you know. It's like we don't even have to talk to each other to know that, you know, we vibe with each other so hard that we can kind of just like careen off of each other, you know. And then obviously with my helmet, I need her to see. so like my helmet, I can't see pretty much, I can't see the crowd.
You can't see anything directly in front of him.
Yeah, so all I can see is like
down a little.
Is down and at the decks. And so like
where you put the VCRs in, right?
Yeah, you put the CDs in my face, basically. But you know, she'll like nudge me and be like, hey, the crowd is really enjoying this, keep going. Or she'll be like, what
Time
the fuck?
To change the vibe.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Everyone's walking away. You know, so she's like my eyes, and like I'm like the ears. We're both ears. She's extra eyes. We got 4 ears, 2 eyes, and
4 hands.
4 hands. We're some weird alien or something.
There you go. I love it. All right, cool. So we're gonna play this track real quick, because it's quite the lengthy one. I want to make sure we can hear every little bit of it, and then we'll get some last words in and whatnot, and what you guys are doing next. Sound good?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. So let me just make sure I am doing this correctly. Let's see here.
Fingers crossed.
Maybe.
Stereo
Are we gonna vibe?
Fidelity. All right, perfect. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Right. Cool. All right, let's press play. There.
That you can't see, they're all around you and me. They got fangs and they've got claws. You don't wanna wind up in their jaws. You can trust me, I'm your friend. Up ahead, follow that bend. You just fell into my trap, and now you're never coming back. Monsters that you can't see, and I guess one of them is lost in the dark. There are monsters that you can't see, and I guess one of them is me. There are monsters that you can't see, and I guess one of them is me. There are monsters that you can't see, and I guess one of them is me.
No.
Oh,
Dora. Dora. Down. Down.
oh.
That was awesome. I actually thought you actually caught me like slipping a little bit because like I thought that I was like, oh, okay, this is a cool drop, and then the actual build up happened, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
shit, like
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're pros.
It was
Dude, let
hard
me
for me
stop
not to sing
sharing.
along.
Yeah, no,
I was
like,
about to
you
say
know.
that was definitely you, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
We
Awesome.
really try to make our own vocals.
Yeah, we really do, you know.
So
It's
that was you going lost in the dark.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we did. I had to learn how to do a lot of vocal work because like a lot of samples online you get are pre-processed,
Yeah.
which
Right.
is like very frustrating for a lot of vocalists because they literally like, why don't I sound
Why
like
don't I
this?
sound like
Why
this?
they sound so good? Why do they sound so good? It's like, yeah, they got like 13 like
Presets
effects
on them,
layers
yeah.
on them
Oh
to
yeah,
make them sound that good, you know?
absolutely.
And so it's always funny when it's like she'll sing it and she'll be like, oh, it's not that good. And then I'll be like, I'll do my magic. I'll be like,
And I'll be like,
Boom.
it's still not right.
Done.
it should be still not right. I'm like, fine. And then I add like 4 more effects on it. And then she's like, okay, it's good enough.
Oh,
I'll be
yeah,
like, to change this effect for this effect, make this sound higher, make this sound deeper.
Yeah.
It's working with vocals is a completely different beast. I know that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But we
It
got
really
we
is.
got like 2 minutes remaining here. Let's go
Okay.
ahead and close it out with like, what are you guys doing next? Last things that you want to say, all that. The floor is yours.
Well, the next thing that we're doing is Another World on May 4th and 5th, and we're really excited about it.
Yep.
We're playing Saturday on 2 different stages, and we're just incredibly excited for it.
Yeah. We'll be at the Silent Disco.
Yeah, and then other things that we're still doing our streaming.
Yep. It's CRTV Head on Twitch. And you can follow a lot of that on Twitter and Blue Sky. I do a lot of stuff on Blue Sky.
All links will be down below, by the way, guys.
Yep. And you know, in terms of final thoughts, I would say, you know, anyone listening, if you're a musician, you're struggling, keep going for it. You know, follow your dreams. You know, it's amazing. It's one of the best things you can learn, and you know, I'm proud of anyone who sends me anything for me to listen to because it takes a lot of guts. So
Miss
The other
Mira,
thing
any last
is,
words?
yeah, keep making creative choices.
yes,
Create things. Honestly, it is one of the best outlets for mental health that I have found. A lot of people who are struggling, they feel like they can't do anything. And by creating something and making something new, you get to have that feeling like, yes, I accomplished something, but also you put something special out into the world. And even if no one comments on it, someone out there is going to like it.
yeah,
And
Sure.
you'll eventually feel it come back to you. But it's
Awesome.
just a great outlet for everything.
For
And we
sure.
want to thank you for having us.
yeah. It's been
Thank you
fun.
for
It's
coming
awesome.
on. All right, guys. Thank you again for coming on. This has been Lullaby Stories with Pinja. Thank you guys all for coming out, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the day, week, night. I don't care. Just have a great one. Thank you guys for coming
go
out. Take
vibe.
care.
Go vibe.